79% of luxury home buyers will visit 5 or more websites before converting. Here to show you how to reach your customers first through your digital experience, please welcome Adam Fish from Google.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I was told that everybody working in this industry is good looking, and I think you all proved that cliche to be very correct. So you're not disappointing. I'm going to start by commenting on Lawrence's story about being at the MMA event with his son, having a spontaneous opportunity to travel, and actually booking his flight, in context right there in the moment. And that's really the world that we live in today. So we live in this mobile-first world. And just a show of hands, so how many people have invested resources in building a digital brand or a digital experience, either for themselves or for their company? Right, so almost everybody's on digital. Okay. So I'm part of the Google team that works with brokerages, big online portals, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, and luxury home builders on their digital strategy and media. And so what I hope to achieve here today is to kind of give you a current state of the union, what's happening in technology, what are the trends you should be paying attention to, and how can you be more successful growing your businesses. So let's jump into it. So ComScore in May of 2016 noted that 61% of all real estate visitors are now coming from mobile devices. And I already see some smartphones, being pulled out, taking photos of the slides. Please do. I'll share some tools with you that you can actually take home with you and evaluate your own digital experiences. So 61% of real estate visitors are coming from mobile devices. The rate is actually higher among affluents, so it's more like 66%. So this represents a real paradigm shift in how people are interacting with your businesses and how they're getting information. Prior to joining Google 4 years ago, we were living in a desktop-first world. So this was a world where the only device that your clients were interacting with you on was a desktop. Something we've tracked very closely is called the mobile moment. And this is a moment where, for the first time for an advertiser or for a vertical, the percentage of traffic coming from smartphones actually exceeded desktop. Right? So huge shift in the way people are interacting with your business and how you should be thinking about marketing. For most of our real estate advertisers, this mobile moment happened in 2015, right? So that was last year's news. We're now in 2016. And in 2016 today, we live in a mobile-first world, right? So we see 2/3 of affluents interacting with real estate businesses on their smartphone. And if we were to project this trend out in the future, we'll be living in a mobile-only world very soon. So 2017, 2018, the only device that your clients will be interacting with you on is going to be a smartphone. So to kind of put you into a customer framework and a customer state of mind, I'd actually like to issue a quick 60-second challenge to the audience. So this is a good opportunity to put yourself in your client's perspective and go and browse your own site. So if you're an agent, go to your site, phones out, and actually browse for listings. If you're not an agent, look up a friend's site or a competitor's site and really immerse yourself in that experience. So we're going to start the clock now. And take note of what elements of this experience really challenged you and really delighted you. And while you're doing that, I'll be working on my dance moves up here. So you might notice some things like page speed is starting to impact your experience. So we see connectivity slows down tremendously when you're in a room like this, right? So are you feeling impatient? Is the page taking too long to load? When you're actually looking at properties, is it pinch and zoom or is it formatted correctly for a mobile device? And then lastly, when you're ready to contact the agent, because I'm sure you're all buying multi-million-dollar properties right now, are you actually able to find that option? Are you able to find the click to call or the option to submit your email information? Right, so we're going to wrap this up. And prior to joining you at the conference today, I did a similar exercise. So I was curious as to what's the state of real estate? How well are luxury agents and luxury brokers designing mobile experiences for their clients? And so I evaluated 30 sites across 2 axes, one for speed and one for user experience. So are you guys interested in seeing the results and seeing how you perform as a peer set? All right, let's jump into it. And maybe some of you are in the room here with us today. So if you're interested in seeing your mobile performance score, stop by after the presentation. I'll be happy to share this with you. So we see that from a user experience perspective, you actually do quite well. So this is a 0 to 100 score assigned by a Google mobile friendliness test. And what this test does is it evaluates your website for the core principles of mobile friendliness. And so it makes sure that you're not using software that was developed for a desktop first world, but it's no longer going to work in a mobile context like Flash. It also makes sure that text is appropriately sized and that images are rendering properly. Right, so pat on the back moment. I think as an industry you're doing quite well. There's a few advertisers in the barely passing category here of 66 to 70 score, 76 to 80. And what's likely happening here is that these websites were designed for a desktop first world. Maybe you invested resources 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but they're just not going to perform and they're not going to cut it in a mobile first world. So again, these are top producers in your industry, right? So two-thirds are in great shape. If you're not, I recommend getting your own mobile friendliness score. My clicker's broken. Can we just get somebody to roll through the slides? So next slide, please. Or you could play more music and I'll dance. We have 8 minutes. I don't have that many dance moves. I have about 4. 2 of them were already used. There it is. So yeah. So let's go back. Yep. Okay, so stop at that link. Next slide. Okay, so this is the mobile friendliness site. I encourage you to take a photo of the screen and actually run your website through and get your score. Even if you're not a technical person, you can easily send this over to your company managers, your development team, and work to improve your mobile experience. It gives you very pointed recommendations, and I think you'll find it helpful. Great, so next slide, please. So the second axis is page load time. So this tells us a little bit different of a story. So only less than a third of agents were in this top performing category of 1 to 2 seconds. Right? And we actually found that 4 agents were in the 14+ second category. So some of these pages took up to 30 seconds to load. Right? So what else might your clients be doing in those 30 seconds? They're definitely not going to spend that waiting for the page to load on a mobile context. Right? So real world data, pulled this last week, distribution for page load time. So next slide, please. I encourage you to mark this down as well. This is the tool that Google uses to evaluate page load time. It's Webpagetest.org. So it's an open source platform that was developed in partnership by Google. And its aim is to make the mobile web faster. The reason why we like it is it controls for all those different factors that might impact speed, such as how many people are sitting in the room with you now, what sort of device are you browsing on, what operating system are you running, etc. So it gives you that consistent reading, and then you can then work to improve your speed over time. Next slide, please. So why does this all matter and why is this important? Because 50% of home buyers will use a competitor's site if they visited a mobile website that wasn't easy to use. Right? So you're investing your hard-earned dollars into marketing and you want to make sure that you're taking them to pages that are high performing. Right? 50%. Next slide, please. So let's dive into speed and just talk about what some of the real-world tangible business impacts can be to improving your site speed. Next slide. So the worst possible outcome after you've invested your hard-earned marketing dollars in a digital campaign is driving someone to your website and then seeing a bounce. Right? A bounce means that they only visited one page and then they're gone. They went onto a competitor's site or they turned to an app that's specifically designed for real estate because it offered a better browsing experience. So we see that when the page takes more than 3 seconds to load, the bounce rate is at 40%. Right? Most of the industry is above that 3-second mark. This is another great data point that was developed in partnership with Google and a business intelligence firm called SOSTA. So it's a cross-sectional analysis, so it looked at a number of different advertisers across industries, and it charts page load time against bounce rate. And what we see is that for about every second page load time increases, the bounce rate also increases by 5 to 10%. So your odds of success are pretty great at the 2-second mark. You're going to capture all that value from your marketing campaigns. When we get into the 8, 9, 10-second mark, over half of your audience is bouncing, right? So let's work together on improving page load time. As internet marketers, the data point we care the most about is the conversion rate. So this is the percentage of users that are going to your website and they're actually contacting you or they're expressing interest. And we see that it has an inverse relationship to the bounce rate, as you might expect. So at that 2-second mark, the conversion rate's high. It's right around 2%. You'll be able to be successful with your campaigns. When we move down to the 4-second mark, it already drops below 1%, right? So the outcomes, the chances of success really fall off a cliff. Just to touch on a few businesses that have real-world impact to optimizing for speed, I'll pick on Google and Amazon. So at Google, 2% slower search results, or 2% slower page load time represents in 2% fewer search results, right? Google's in the business of having people use our products, use our technology. We want people on the platform, and page speed really disrupts that opportunity. We've actually went so far as to building in low-speed internet networks into all of our offices. So when our developers are developing products, they're not just assuming they're going to work fast, work well on the snappy in-house internet that we have. We actually have internet networks designed for 2G and 3G, right? So developers can test their products and make sure that they're going to work well in a real-world context. And of course, Amazon. So 1/10 of a second faster, 1% more revenue. Right, so real world tangible impacts to speed. People have a very low tolerance for latency. So I think a good goal for you as an industry is to work to get to 2 seconds. And you know this is possible because when we think back to the distribution, there's actually about 8 out of the 30 luxury agents who are already in that sweet spot. So you might not get here today, but if you use Webpagetest.org and start recording your page load time, identifying those bottlenecks, you can get there. And you might find that your ROI from your campaigns goes up tremendously. So I'll spend just a moment on user experience, not as much because as an industry you're doing quite well, but I think the key principle, and Ben was speaking to this earlier, is that don't necessarily assume everyone is a hand raiser. So you can jump 2 slides ahead. So don't assume everyone's a hand raiser. When we work with our partners and we build marketing campaigns, we really take time to think about where that person's sitting in the funnel. So are they a dreamer? Are they 6 months to a year out from purchasing their home? Are they in market? Are they actively researching? Or are they actually that hand raiser who's ready to buy today? And we work with advertisers on creating compelling digital experiences across the customer journey. Video is a great way to do this for those longer-term dreamers and researchers, and Google search and other direct response channels are a great option for hand raisers. I think if you're going to build your business and marketing is going to be a valuable part of that, you need to think about addressing all aspects of the funnel. And that's really how you build trust with your clients. So a third tool I'll share with you, and you can go to the next slide, please, is 25 Principles of Mobile Site Design. So this is also a great one to jot down. You can just Google 25 Principles of Mobile Site Design. And what this does is it shows you really what the secret is to a great performing mobile website. So we brought a number of real-world users into our research centers, and we actually performed a usability study where people went through a number of different digital experiences and narrated what were the challenges, what aspects of it delighted them, and we came up with a set of best practices. So next slide, please. So this is the link. It's a big link. You can also just jot down 25 Principles of Mobile Site Design. And I recommend after the presentation today, when you're home kind of reflecting, throw this into Google and read the article and evaluate your own site. Great, so I'll spend the last moment here just talking about mobile search. So what's the secret to running high relevancy, high ROI campaigns? And our team works with some of the largest real estate advertisers. And on a mobile context, there's simply less screen real estate. So you have to really think about owning your space. 88% of clicks go to ads in the top position. Let's go to the next slide. On top of this, 4 in 5 expect ads to be highly relevant, highly local, highly customized. Right? So the way search is evolving, it's no longer best practice to advertise on terms real estate, luxury home, dream home, things like this. We're finding the most successful advertisers are actually getting really local and really relevant to their markets. And they're advertising on terms related to addresses, street names, communities, school districts. And this is really the secret to running high ROI campaigns on Google, is you want to stay away from those head terms where all the big players are, and you really want to focus on your local niche and demonstrating your subject matter expertise. So in summary, marketing is really about reaching the right person with the right message at the right time and delivering on your commitment for a great digital experience. Thank you.